Thomas is a little tank engine who works in the train yards on the island of Sodor. He usually spends his time shunting trucks in the yard. Sometimes the trucks are naughty, so Thomas has to bump them. One day, Thomas was shunting a freight train into the station for James. "Hello, Gordon," said Thomas. "Isn't it a lovely day today?" "Huh," said Thomas. "Not a very big express train today, huh, Gordon?" "Pah," said Gordon. "Even with a light express train, I can still be the fastest and best on the island. You will never be able to pull a passenger train and do it right, Thomas." "Well, sure I could," complained Thomas. "I can pull coaches just fine." "Ha!" said Gordon. "Come back to me when you're pulling a daily train that only stops at important places." "Goodbye, little Thomas," said Gordon as he puffed out of the station. Later that day, Thomas was pushing trucks around in the yard. "Ow! Ow! Ow! Watch it, Thomas!" Thomas was backing out of the yard when he heard a voice.
"Miss, over here!"
Thomas looked around the yard. He couldn't see anyone. Who said that? Thomas puffed over to the two coaches.
"Hello, my name is Anna, and I'm Clarabelle."
"I'm Thomas. Nice to meet you too, Annie and Clarabelle."
"We've seen you work in the yard, Thomas. We think your work is marvelous."
"Thanks," said Thomas. "Guys, when's the last time you've been in a passenger train?" Clarabelle smiled.
"Well, it was a long time ago." "Did you go?" "It was to celebrate the opening of the railway. We were filled with passengers and a tank engine pulled us about the island."
"Sounded like it was fun," peeped Thomas.
"Oh, it was, but sadly we haven't moved from this spot since."
Just then, Edward rushed in.
"Hello, Thomas. I need you to bring me a passenger train." "Thank you."
"Sure thing, Edward," said Thomas. Thomas had an idea. He smiled, then coupled up to Annie's front coupling.
"Thomas, what are you doing?"
Thomas smiled again. "You two are going to be part of a passenger train," he said. Thomas went around and coupled Annie and Clarabelle up to Edward.
"Thank you, Thomas. Goodbye,"
whistled Edward, and he rushed out of the station. Then there was trouble. As Edward was passing the junction, the points weren't set right. Edward quickly slammed on his brakes. Edward had been diverted into a siding. He raced toward the buffers and smashed into them. Thomas quickly rushed over to the scene of the accident. "Edward, are you all right?" he asked.
"I think so."
"Thomas, you're going to have to pull this train."
"All right," said Thomas, and he pulled the coaches away to get them into position. In no time, the coaches were in position, and Thomas backed down onto the train. "Well, here we go," said Thomas, and he puffed slowly away. Soon, Thomas was rushing down the track. "You know," said Thomas, "this is kind of fun," said Thomas. "Woohoo!" And Thomas continued rushing down the line. Gordon and James were at the station when Thomas rushed in with his train. "What is this nonsense?" grumbled Gordon.
"Oh my goodness, is that tiny tank engine Thomas pulling a passenger train?"
Thomas ignored Gordon and James. He just smiled.